In this video, we find out the best questions to ask if you truly want to get to know somebody.
There is no justice when so few have so much and so many have so little.
Welcome back, you guys. Thank you very much for joining me. My name is Swardik Mayanja, and this is the Mayanja Accredited News Network, where you can get your news and updates from a nurse's perspective. So from a nurse's perspective, this is not a great question, because when we ask questions, we really go and we're looking for something, a very detailed, focused assessment. But in the general big picture, right, I don't think you'll go on a date and ask a question a nurse would, because you don't ask someone the last time they had a cigarette, or the last time they had sex, and if they did it with a condom or not, or the medications they're on. Those are not the questions you ask someone if you really want to get to know them. Those are the questions you ask someone if you want to get slapped. So I advise you not to ask nursing questions on a date, to a friend, whatever. You do you. With that being said, what are the questions? And I went to the only place you can get actual answers. That's right, Ask Reddit. So let's just jump right into it. First question. Instead of what do you do, I quite like what gets you out of bed in the morning. I also really like this question because the very few times I've asked it, or it's been around, or a topic of conversation, you really get the reason as to why people do what they do, not what do you do. Because you ask the question, what do you do? And right away you'll say, I'm a nurse. That's what I do. I nurse. But when you ask the question as what gets you out of bed in the morning, that changes everything, right? Instead of I'm a nurse, it's I'm a nurse because my kid gets me out of bed. My husband gets me out of bed. I get out of bed because I can't wait to see this patient that I've had the last couple of weeks, and I want to see their progression. It's the why. It gets to the why, right? And that's how you really get to know someone. You're just pulling at it. Yeah, you're pulling at it. Great question. Very good. Love that question. Next set of questions, because it's all by the same person. They ask, what do you do when it rains? Where is your favorite place to be? What songs do you listen to when you're sad? What do you do? Where do you go when you feel afraid? And I like these questions because they're emotional questions, right? You're afraid, you're sad. When it rains, it's somber outside and it's gray. So when it rains, what do you do? Are you the person that sits at home and eats chips and Netflix all day? Or are you the person that goes outside because you love running in the rain and you like the thunder and that gets you excited? But I also like the other questions in that post, because what songs do you listen to when you're sad? I'm the kind of guy that listens to sad music when I'm sad because I like the pity. Like I like that feeling pity for myself for a short amount of time, and it's nothing gets you in that mood like listening to real sad music when you're sad. Hello from the outside. And then where do you go when you're afraid? That's an awesome question, and I don't think I've ever asked that question or answered that question, and I don't know. Where do I go? I don't know if I would go anywhere. I know I would, if I was super afraid, I would call specific people, probably, and different kind of afraid. Afraid for my life, 911. Afraid for, where my life is going, definitely call this person or that person. But I do love that question. It actually gets me thinking. I don't really know. But moving on. And what are your 3 greatest passions? And this just cuts the fat. This just says, fuck it. Let me know. What are your passions? What are you all about? I like that question. Very good. Just straight to it. No bullshit. So moving on. Next question. Would you have sex with a clone of yourself? That's easy. No, I'm not homosexual. I feel like this would work well for a homosexual. Would I have sex with a female version of myself? That's also a weird question. I feel like that's the most conceited question you can ask someone. No, I don't think I would. Like if I had a female version of myself, would I have sex with that person? I think we'd get along. Would I have sex? That's weird. I don't know. Would I just look like me with long hair? Then no, that's gross. I don't know. I think that's just a weird question. I added it in there because it's different. Yeah, to each his own, right? Would I ask it? No, I think it's weird. But it got me thinking, right? Second to last, we have you are given 3 wishes by a genie. What do you wish for? No infinite wishes or loopholes. really shows a person's priorities? And this is a good question. I hear this question all the time, and I do like it. But I'm not a big fan of this wish because, it's very circumstantial, right? You ask someone when you're on a date, and then they'll be like super introspective and be like, I wish that the world would be like free of hunger and everyone would be rich and whatever. And then you ask that same person at work and be like, I wish I was a billionaire and never have to work again. Ask that same person, at home watching Netflix and be like, I wish I knew the end of this episode, whatever. So I think it's very circumstantial. I feel like it's overused, but I do like the question. And then lastly, by prefix or postfix, she says these questions are great. What's something you learned today, this week? What's something that made you sad today? What are you looking forward to? What are you looking forward to the most right now? And what's something that made you laugh this week? And I love those questions. Though this is probably my favorite set of questions because, yeah, it does get to know who the person is, but it not only does it tell you their state of mind, where they've been that week, that day, but it also tells you what makes that person sad, what makes that person happy, laugh, excited. What the question is what you learned this week, which I feel like I've never heard that question outside of like a test in school, is amazing. I think that's great. That's a great question. I'm definitely going to start using that one because not only does you find out what the person's interests are, because they would be going out of their way, prospectively, if the person's not in school, they'd be going out of their way to learn this stuff, but you also learn what sticks with them, right? And even if that person is in school, if they've taken 5 classes and the first answer they give you is, I learned this crazy math problem, and you're like, that's nice, that's exciting. Anyways, you guys, those are just a few of a million different questions you can ask someone if you really want to get to know them. Question for you guys is, what questions do you ask your significant other, best friend, boyfriend, whoever, when you really want to get to the core of what they're doing or who they are? Let me know in the comment section below. Thanks again for watching. Catch you guys later. Deuces.